going to make this the last week of the atmospheric landscapes project, and next week we're into July. So we're going to have a break partway through July. So we've basically got 3 weeks of July. So the next project is summer season. So that's what we kind of chose for July. Okay, so that's what we can have a look at for the next one. So if you've got any ideas how you'd like to interpret summer season, something like that. Now it's gone. Lee Art Trail is coming up, and I'll have my work on show at Millie's Deli in Lee Road. And we've got the little trail maps here, if anybody would like one of these. So the art trail is on from the 5th to the 13th of July. And the venue I'm in is Millie's Deli, and they open sort of Tuesday till Saturday, usually open those days. And I'll be there on the 2 Saturdays. So just drop by, see the work I've got. Basically going to have a show, probably I usually manage to get about 30 paintings in, and it'll be, you know, a mixture of 1 or 2 Lee scenes and things like that, but mostly my travels around London and the rest of the country last year, so that's what I have in the show. So yeah, anybody like a map? And then we basically, 3 weeks of July, then we'll have a month's break, and then come back in towards the end of August. I'm thinking I might have another break for a week or so in September as well, because September tends to be quite a quiet month as well. We do most of that. So I may well have another break in September. Okay. So I'm going to use this one as my demo. I'm going to do a little bit of acrylics, but also this one I started in oils, so I'll do a little bit of both. So for the last session, those of you that are working in the, what I think of as the easier mediums, particularly oils. With acrylics, what I've done is I've just very quickly sketched this out, and this is how I quite like to work, if I can, just to sketch out a little bit of paint, just to plan out where everything's going to go. So one thing about so I'll mix a little bit of blue. Now, one thing I find challenging about acrylics is getting quite subtle effects. So mix a sort of bluish colour for the sky. So what I thought I'd talk about a little bit about is using acrylic mediums. So to start with, I'll just pop some colour down. I'm thinking of this colour here. Get some background colours. Nice. And the nice thing about having just a very quick, light, tonal sketch is that I can, you know, the drawing's done then, I can just effectively just kind of fill in the other areas. So that's quite blue at the top, so that's bouncing around a bit. And as we work down, that becomes a little bit warmer, so a little bit of yellow in there. So some white and some, I'm using, I think this is a raw sienna, so it's an earthy kind of yellow. Down the bottom, that's a bit bright, make that a bit darker. Something like that. And if you wanted, you could always get a little bit of plastic and just paint over that, just to see how close you are in tone. That can be a background colour there. Now this is still wet, so to an extent I can blend the 2 colours together. So, so that will blend in a little bit. Fill in the brush. But where the, I'll do a little bit with the medium here. You can see that if I just pop a, you can even mix the painting medium with the paint, or you could just paint it on the surface like that. And then I find that if I do that, I can then soften out the brushwork. So one thing I really don't like about seeing some acrylic paintings is that quite often the paint dries as soon as you put the mark down. So it kind of preserves every brush mark. If I paint into a surface like a wet surface, I can sort of soften it out and blend it a little bit like that. So not quite what I'm seeing now. I had a little bit of bluey colours to that as well. It gives me a little bit more time to work. Now this particular acrylic paint is quite transparent, so again it will show the brushwork even more if it's transparent paint. So that's where it's important to have interesting brushwork, you know, having it in perhaps different directions, and also using big brushes. Sometimes I find using big brushes helps. So these are like just the ordinary student quality acrylics, pretty much. And you can, whereas here, you know, it's starting to dry. It's not so easy to blend. So that's the acrylics. I'll do a little bit on the oils one, which to my mind is much easier, because for me the paint I think is better quality to start with. I'm trying out these. I bought these the other day from Sea White. These are the water mixable ones. I just thought I'd try out their brand just to see what that's like. And I don't think they're too bad, to be honest. It's always difficult to tell when you first start. So let's get some more colour on this one. So if I added a little bit more of the sort of bluey, reddy colours. Now this paint is from last week, but it's still relatively wet in the palette, so I can keep using the paint. Add a tiny bit of white to that. So we can get a nice colour for the clouds. Try that. So yeah, that's quite dark, quite strong. But immediately that's much nicer paint. It's a lot stronger paint, a lot more pigment in the paint. Somewhere here. I'll do a little bit around here. Just try and get some softer edges. Make that a little bit lighter. Just around here. I think it's a little bit more yellow in that. So work on this area around the sun. So again, where the paint's wet, I can actually sort of paint into that and soften that out. So to me, it's much more satisfying as a medium. Like that, and then maybe go even a little bit lighter still. A bit more yellows, and a bit more white. So yeah, if anybody wants to try any of these, you're very welcome. If you're not used to the water mixed with oil, it's quite nice to use something like that. Give the impression of that light sort of flaring out. And just change the brush, get a clean brush, and then this top edge here, again, it doesn't want to be pure white, but it's quite bright. So just a touch of a yellow mixed in with that. Something like that. The other brushes that you can get are these fan brushes, and these, you know, my understanding is the idea of these is that you can soften areas out. So you can just kind of do that sort of thing. A little bit difficult to use, but soften your marks out a little bit. So yeah, definitely recommend those. The acrylics are alright, but I find them more difficult to get subtle effects. But as I say, the medium certainly will help in building up over layers. Anyone, any questions or anything? No, all good to go? Yep. Right. See how you go.